not okay. No, it's wrong. This idea of normalizing this, because that was the game plan. You can look at a book they wrote in '93. And I go back to the example I drew from True Love Is. This is a movement in Singapore. You know, parents loving their children, you don't affirm something that's destructive. If you caught your son smoking, you want him to stop, which you're not. We have to have that same understanding. But I do agree, and I'm glad you brought that up because I want to develop that briefly. I do understand. People don't wake up one day and decide, I'm going to be gay today. I agree with you. There's the desires that come in. What we have found in countless cases of this, 90%, my understanding, is sexual abuse. Dr. David Pickup, as a clinician, he's a reparative therapist, and many of his clients that come to him, they were molested as children by the same sex. And in other cases, there's no father for the men, there's no mother for the women. There are underlying issues. The issue with reparative therapy is not just about getting someone to stop engaging in gay behaviors, it's to deal with the underlying concerns. You're a therapist, you understand this better than all of us. What are the underlying hurts, the shame, what was taken, what was lost from them as children? That's a good point. It's not like, now some people do engage in it because they want the profile, but it's not something that should be normalized. Civil unions should not be happening. There's a fight going on now in the Czech Republic to stop gay marriage there, by the way. And one of the testimonies has been a woman saying, I didn't have a dad. I'm sorry, no, go ahead, Brandon, what's up?
Yeah, well, this is what's frightening. What you brought about the problem is that
Can't hear you, Mary.
Okay, the problem is that the Colorado shooter, they said he was a transgender, and it's very sad, but he wants to show that he's mad. He's mad at the sex, that the men. He's mad at men or something. I don't know why they do that. I don't understand it. Can you explain that?
It just goes right back to, you have like, if it's a man who's pretending to be a woman, I think that's what happened in Colorado. It was a girl trying to be a boy. So you see there's a hatred of women. There was another testimony. I listened to one woman. She was molested as a little girl, and she felt that as a woman, she felt weak, that she couldn't defend herself. And that's not true, by the way. There's a lot of mama Grizzlies out there. I've met them. Not in a bad way, but, you know, and so there's a lie that comes into play. And so they think, well, I'm not trying to be like a man, then that's the only way I can protect myself. But my point goes to this. It's based on lies. We shouldn't be normalizing lies, especially that disturb us. Yes, I'm sorry, go ahead.
A couple of questions and a statement. That professor that got hired in Massachusetts, where are the courts in this? Can he sue for unlawful termination?
Okay, that's a great.
Can he sue for that? And what school district did you teach at?
So when we're talking about discrimination, this is again part of the problem. When these perversions are not just normalized but codified, your legal standing to fight is gone. The cake maker in Colorado, he wouldn't have a lawsuit if this Equality Act becomes law, because you can't discriminate against a man who's to be a woman and vice versa. What we're seeing now in these courts with all the judges stacked from these previous liberals is that they're siding with this progressive insanity. Hopefully we have the president and his succession of appointments are fighting this. One example, thank God, the Supreme Court upheld the president's transgender ban in the military. That was huge. You know, absolutely. This is insane. You see, this is, well, two men sleep together. Why does that bother me? A man pretend to be a woman. I'll tell you why. Because now they want to defend our country, and it's really not that. You need to know this. People go into the military because they want the free surgery to become the other sex.
Oh my God.
And then they're out for 3 years, and we're paying for it. That's the only reason this is going on. You haven't? Hold on, let me finish. That's the whole point of this.
That's right.
No, you're not going to rob us in pretending to want to defend our country, but to manifest a perversion. No, I'm not going to put up with that. That's the kind of outrage we need to have.
And it happened already.
Go ahead.
I agree.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
This is going to come across as argumentative, and it's not meant this way, because I agree with about 75 to 80% of what you said.
Okay.
But I want to know, why are you not pushing use your money to make your point? Target, the chain store, is anti-family.
Okay.
How many people here shop at Target?
Right.
Okay,
Not
Target pushes gay rights.
Yes.
Okay, I have not spent a dime in Target since then, unless there's something I need to return my stuff in. Okay, if there, I'm more than happy to do that.
Sure.
But you're not pushing vote with your wallet.
I actually have. And
Like I said, it's a cross argument, it's not meant that way.
okay, no, it's okay to be argumentative. I welcome that, because I feel like the first people I have to convert are conservatives who say, let's not bother with this issue, or we shouldn't because we'll lose. Well, I got bad news, we are losing already if we don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Republicans, I want this on record, and I'm so glad you're an independent organization. I despise the fact that the log cabin Republicans even exist. It's wrong. I'm just like, I'm astonished. I was on the phone with Jim Brolty myself and said, how could you allow this? The log cabin supports gay Republicans, LGBT. This is insanity. I mean, the party was founded on defending family. Oh, the marriage issue is not affected. This was Jim Brolty talking to me on the phone. Give me a break. This was about virtue signaling to the press so that they could seem more inclusive and tolerant. Well, tell me, do you feel safe? Do you feel it's inclusive for a man to go into a woman's bathroom? To yours? I don't feel that's inclusive. That makes me feel less safe or heard. And I'm not even going to the finals. This is wrong. I'm sorry. You know what? I guess I'm the only one who. I don't know where to start. It's just, and here's the worst of it. This is the state where that stuff started. Michael Huffington was openly bi, running for U.S. Senate. And Ariana Huffington, her take on it was, you know, Michael Huffington says, I'm bisexual. And she says, don't worry, darling, we Greeks invented it. I mean, seriously? I'm just like, I just had to go off on that. I'm so fed up. It's enough, folks. Let's get this. And I'm sure Miss Patterson is totally rolling in the hay with this now. Sorry. Okay, well, I guess there goes my party affiliation here. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, I want to say, I think that LGBT, I think that's actually bad for homosexuals and bisexuals because a lot of them like to keep hidden. My sister is a lesbian, but she keeps it hidden. She doesn't go to these gay things
Okay.
and homosexual things. She
it
just
private.
likes to be able to
Okay.
be with her woman friend.
Okay.
And I think it's bad for them because it
Is
makes
that
them
okay?
come out when
Is
they
that
want to
okay when
stay
they keep
in.
it private?
Yeah, this is a question we've been pushed off. You know, there are some people who go to such an extent they want to recriminalize homosexuality. Definitely think transgenderism should be. I mean, this is a really solid issue because that's a good question. You know, I've had to wrestle with. Let me talk to one issue and then I'll branch out from that.
Okay.
The decriminalizing marijuana. Now, this is a contentious issue. What I've recently learned, this is the Heritage Foundation in Hillsdale, they pointed out that the marijuana now is so bad. It really literally is blowing people's brains. There was one veteran, 30 years old, who committed suicide. Well, okay, we do have a problem here. Now, I do recognize that when the marijuana industry becomes legal, it hurts the cartels, it diminishes violence. So I'm aware of that too. There's a lot of these societal concerns that are now becoming more present to me. That's about marijuana, okay? Now, when it comes to like homosexual or, you know, consensual behaviors among, you know, between adults, Brian Canniker, I'm gonna go officially with what he said for now. For me, it's still something I think about. It should be treated like smoking. We let people smoke. They're allowed to smoke in private, smoke in their homes. But, you know, we don't have smoking pride parades, do we? I mean, we don't. We're not teaching smoking. We're not teaching smoking, Ed. We're not promoting it. It should be recognized as deviant, dysfunctional, and destructive. But it doesn't mean you have to lock people up. In fact, this is why I still been pro decrim, is that people aren't going to get sober in prison. It's easier to get drugs in prison than in the real world. People won't come out and come home if they're going to be automatically hit with criminal sanction. I want people to be helped out. That wouldn't be reparative therapy. It would be illegal if you criminalize homosexuality again. So, you know, that's why I give Margaret Thatcher, I'm not as mad about that, but she didn't accept it as an agenda. Yes.
Hi,
Sorry if I skipped you, but.
Three very quick anecdotal evidence. Well, I do not believe anecdotal evidence should ever inform or you know, you shouldn't make your decisions about any of these things on the basis of anecdotal evidence. But one, I lived with a gay man for 4 years. I was very, very close to him. He was born like 7 or 8 years ago. Absolutely knew from the time he was 3 years old. No question about it. Had very, very loving parents, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's number one. So there's no question in the world that he was born that way. Number two, I have a brother-in-law who is gay, married, has 4 children. Had a surrogate, had 2 sets of twins. So I have that experience in my family. And number 3, my husband's board, Larry Sand and his board, California Teachers Empowerment Network, has a woman who went through reparative therapy as a lesbian and it was successful for her. So I've kind of seen this and read a lot of because of all this, a lot of literature from almost all angles. I wanted to ask you two quick things. One, you said that 90% of gay people, do you believe, as a result of
Molestation.
parental molestation?
Yeah.
Where, first of all, can you tell me where you got that figure?
So,
And number two,
okay.
my second thing is, I believe very strongly, do not think we're gonna get rid of the Equality Act. I think we have to be real. I just don't think it's ever gonna happen. What I want to happen, and I was talking to Peter Wood about this and others before what happened to Karen on Monday, but I think we need to we need to add, make it illegal to discriminate against people because of political affiliation. Our very own Howard Hyde also was, and James Enstrom. Political affiliation, we need to add that to the Equal Rights Amendment because because we're never gonna get rid of it. So I feel strongly, and that's a big fight, but I think it's more winnable than trying to get rid of all of the Equal Rights Amendment.
Okay, the first thing I want to talk to you is the person at 3 years old was gay. Well, that to me is alarming in itself, that a 3-year-old would have that kind of sexual reaction.
They don't know.
He's a playwright.
I'm not mocking you,
Just in his
listen.
behavior and what he did, he literally made Mary Nancy with great glitter off
Okay.
movie posters.
Okay.
No, trust me, I mean, he's a Tony-winning writer, you will all know.
Okay.
Trust me, I know this guy really well, look at the
Sure. Okay,
Like
here's
a
my
father.
answer. Okay,
No question about it.
I disagree.
yeah, and this is why. Okay, so I agree to disagree. By the way, I appreciate, I have to have a little, here's the book, isn't gonna cut it, so I need to be more prepared for that. Maybe my numbers are wrong, if they are wrong, but I will say that the vast majority of men who are homosexuals have had sexual abuse. So I should be a little better. I'm sorry, but I need to be able, I want to be able to respond.
A lot of lesbians were abused by their fathers or their
Okay,
husbands.
so you're
The
okay.
majority of lesbians, I do not believe that, and that's why I was questioning
Okay.
your figures, especially for gay men.
Okay, thank you. All right,
Let's
so,
hear what he said.
okay, so here's the thing. There are a lot of men who will not tell anybody that they were molested. They will not.
Okay.
It is, so that's the
A
first
lot
thing.
doesn't mean the vast majority.
Perhaps it
90%
does.
is a big majority.
Oh, you'd be surprised.
The actual statistic.
You will be surprised.
The actual statistic was 1 in
See,
7.
90% of
And for women, it's worse. It's like 1 in 3, correct?
1 in 3 for women, 1 in 7 for males.
So that's the first thing. Now, the second thing.
1 in 7 is not 90%.
Okay, so,
3 is not.
so the second thing that I want to speak to is, so you have a young boy who likes to do things that people think are feminine. That's going to induce some problems. No male should be ashamed because they want to do certain things that people think are feminine. That's another issue that I think compounds it. There's a sense of shame that develops. You have a man who likes to do crafts and arts. You must be a fag. That's the kind of crap that happens. And it starts to induce problems. That's happening a lot. A friend of mine, she's in Texas, she wrote a great book. And it was, it just escapes me right now, but it's like, she showcases boys and girls doing boys and girl thing, like playing with dolls or playing with, but affirming, you're still a boy, there's nothing wrong with being a boy who likes this. You're a girl and you're doing this kind of stuff that doesn't turn your gender around. That's what I submit to you is what's going on here. But this idea of born that way, no, 1,000 times no. And I have a disagreement, that's fine. No, I'm sorry, no, show me the genetic evidence.
Yes.
Because when you're talking statistics, 90% doesn't make, when you're talking, when Karen's talking about 1 in 7 or 1 in 3, that's basically 1 in 5 on the average, that's 20%. 20% I can understand, I would understand that.
But you have people, they get molested. There are people who get molested and they don't become homosexuals too. So if I'm wrong, I'm not afraid to be challenged on that.
But
And
you
if I
have a
have to fix it,
whole
that's
book there,
fine.
and I assume
Sure.
this book is full of kind of facts and
Yes, it
stats,
is.
not just
So-
a lot of people.
So there's
And I
that.
don't disagree with it, I don't agree with most of what you said either.
So that was the first, second, there was a third point you had made.
About the, adding political affiliation to the anti.
Oh, okay, I want to respond to that. I talked to a doctor in Wyoming. We had contention about the ideology, like, are you born that way or not born that way to some degree? Because he's like, why would anybody want to engage in this behavior? Because it's so destructive and has all the negatives associated with it. And they must be born that way because it's the costs of it are so destructive. No, the fact is, when you don't have the love of a parent, unconditional love of a parent, you will find or seek love any way you can. If that includes engaging with the same sex, selling your body on the street, or God forbid, engaging in pedophilia. I'm not normalizing or justifying this, but when you're so desperate for love, you'll do some pretty horrific stuff. So there's that. I think that when it comes to private accommodations, you should be able to serve or not serve whoever you want to.
What about the equal rights amendment we're talking about,
So-
adding political affiliation?
And to me, that says if you're a private firm, this is a really sticky situation here because this is something Barry Goldwater warned people about, even in '64. That's why he voted against it. Is that you're going to see government encroachment, government force ensuring equity of offering, of equity of commerce is going to create a lot of these problems. And now we're seeing it built upon, you know, there's no better way to go against a business, like someone had mentioned, you know, that we just don't do business there. A business that says no Mexicans, I don't think it's gonna last very long in LA. You know,
Not for a
the
day.
free market does a much better job. You know,
But
when it comes to,
nobody-
so what we can do is, when it comes to political affiliation, is to say, hey, I don't wanna go to this business anymore, I don't wanna work there anymore. We start going after the school. I'm familiar with Karen's situation, but when it comes to like passing laws that deal with discrimination in private firms, look at the slippery slope we're in now. It's create a real problem. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I could top it off this way. The way I argue this, and I'm in the schools and I talk to the LGBT clubs, and you know, when they come up to me, Mister, what do you think about homosexuals? Or what do you think about, they don't say homosexual, LGBT, right? Here's what I like to do. I like to go back to the founders. And this is very simple, a simple way. What was the original purpose of government? To secure, according to the Declaration, secure these rights for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The pursuit of happiness meant rooted in natural law. When the gay activists are doing much more than that. In other words, they have co-opted government to secure what? Their agenda, which is to be adverse against our natural rights to life, liberty, and pursuit of property.
Yes.
For example, now we can't even speak out against it and say we're against that gay marriage, because see, they have co-opted government to protect them in their deviance. So that's what I say, that's what I use. You gotta use the natural law.
And don't forget the laws of nature and nature's
Well, yeah,
God.
that's what I
This
do.
is like
There you
abhorrent.
go. Simple as that.
And you know what? I again go to, I appreciate your compliment in private. I'm glad I could make it public. You know, but we got to get to a point where it's not just me or you. And by the way, you talk about discrimination. You made a comment about a gay student coming to you.
Yes.
He got transferred from one of his schools.
Yeah.
He was discriminated against for that. I mean, there's persecution for that. It's happening in your own neighborhood. I'm sorry. Okay, let me go to Elsa and I'll come back to you. Okay, Elsa, do you have a question?
Elsa's got it.
Yes, I have
Okay.
a question.
Sorry if I was. No, I'll come back to you.
There's two different things. One is going to the lady what she was mentioning about little kids, you know, already knowing their sexual. That I think it's wrong, and I'm gonna just use one quick example. I gave 2 kitties to my grandma, and both of them were males. And my grandma started saying the one was female. And I said, why? And she said, well, the TV, it's, you know, brainwashing everyone to think if you act in a feminine way, you must be a female. And I said to my grandma, no, look, you know, the male parts of the cat.
Yeah.
And not only that, I mean, I have the cat right now, and the cat does not act in any way, in a female way, but the reason why I'm saying is because we're being programmed to think that way, and a lot of people do not acknowledge that.
Can I add to that? I gotta share this. This is like, thank you. Are you done? I didn't
No,
want to-
that was one.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And another thing, I grew up here. I'm from El Salvador. Most of my best friends, they are kind of bi, and I was very supportive, you know, because they're my friends. But I noticed in high school, I graduated from Canagapa High School, that they started pushing the gay thing. Now it's really, I mean,
Yeah.
but they started pushing it, and I noticed that my friends were like, oh, you know, you have to do this, you know, to kind of like belong or feel that you are accepted. And I cut my hair completely short because I was told, you know what, you know, so you can be normal like everybody. But there's a lot of people that do not really think about what they're doing. They're just being pushed by this agenda. And I didn't know any better. You know, this happened a few years ago. I didn't know any better, so I went with the flow. But now that I'm a mother, I mean, I analyze things better, and I'm like, no, I was never gay, you know. But and my grandma doesn't know that the cat. I mean, like, just because she's told. So that's one of my comments. And the other one, I'm just curious. My chiropractor made a comment yesterday that said, Elsa, are you aware that they're trying to force vaccinations because they want to make sure that all the kids are getting this mix of cocktails in the shots that are adding hormones or the babies, you know, babies. This is from the Planned Parenthood, and I don't know if it's true or not. This is just my chiropractor mentioning to me that if I was aware of what they're doing, that they're going to be forcing vaccinations. And she said, and don't be alarmed, but we're going to have a lot of more transgender people because of the shots. So I don't know if it's true or not, but this is. And her brother is a pediatrician, so she's getting the information from her brother that is a pediatrician that they're going to be enforcing mandatory, and she's worried about this, mandatory vaccination.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, these hormonal imbalances are causing issues. I know there's I was talking to one lady from Riverside County. She was talking about there's certain milk products too that lead to more estrogen being developed in men. You know, they need to avoid like soy or something. There's actually been more evidence about this. There's certain foods that are producing more. But I mean, this hormonal concern is very serious. And so we're once again seeing that transgenderism is not a benign eccentricity. It's a disorder, and it's nuts, and it needs to be focused. Thanks for waiting.
I have a really tragic example here. My neighbor had a daughter. Very beautiful woman, but she was lesbian.
I'm sorry, say it again?
My neighbor had a daughter. Very beautiful woman, but she was lesbian. She married another lesbian who looked like a man. Yeah. I mean, she had a mustache better than mine. Now, they conceived the baby artificially with surrogate, okay? And the lesbian who looked more like a man murdered the baby. Murdered the baby. That's after about a half a year. It's very tragic. Okay? However, that lesbian who killed the baby, who looked like a man, she didn't think her into looking like a man. She didn't grow mustache by thinking being a man.
Right.
It's a biological predisposition.
Yes, it is.
That she couldn't do anything about it.
And so that's
and it was a big tragedy. But many times you can tell a lesbian just by looking at it. Okay? They look very masculine. It's a biological thing. It's not here. It's
okay. A couple points. One of the better places I think we can meet is on the issue of policy,
right?
Yes.
Not on personal preference or personal identity. Policy is what affects us by law.
Yes.
However, our culture is being eroded.
Yes.
Look at the things that have been eroded in the last 5 to 10 years. It is now okay to have infanticide.
Yeah.
It is
right.
now okay to have late-term abortions.
Right.
It is perfectly okay to have a book called My Two Fathers.
Right.
It is perfectly okay for us to steal identities. It is
Right.
perfectly okay to do that. Because I can be a boy on Tuesday and a girl on Friday. What we are talking about is families that are being disintegrated. The role of the father is being disintegrated and minimized. The role of the mother is now being collectivized. We will soon have Hillary Clinton's village. And we will have to destroy it to save this country.
Yeah.
The fact is that I wish I was being dramatic. I have friends and many clients who are gay, identified as homosexual, or the new, better term for modern culture is I'm queer.
Yeah.
I've always thought that was offensive. We have seen a change in language. I thought hook up was mean you're putting a trailer on. I grew up when grass was something you mowed, not something you smoked. And now today's marijuana more than a third to a half stronger.
Yep.
The CBDs, I have clients who take them for anxiety. CBD is the non-hallucinogenic part of marijuana. It is the calmative. But some people like it so much that they OD on it. Why? Because it comes in edibles. They look like caramels, marked off for 1 bite at a time dosage, but it tastes so good. Imagine what it tastes like for kids. And so they eat the whole thing. And better yet, let's give it to your pets because boy, they really like it. Believe it or not, I have seen every one of those things in my caseload. I have seen people who think it's perfectly okay to cheat on their husbands with their best friends, or cheat on their spouses because our marriage isn't right anyway. The fact is the erosion of the family, the erosion of the culture, the erosion of the language, the erosion of the culture mores. When I went to school, I had this word that I was great on. It was called deportment. It is public behavior. It had social standards. And this man is right about tolerance. I'm no great Christian moralist. I barely know the Bible. I read it twice and it still confuses me. I wish it had pictures. But the fact is, tolerance has become a virtue when it really is a measurement. Tolerance meant this is God's moral natural law. Tolerance is how far you stray away from it and at what level will society pull you back. Well, guess what? That is unmoored now. Tolerance is what I feel and what I have you put up with. I tell people, tolerance to you means I have to put up with your bad behavior. And if I pipsqueak, bat squeak, or even moan, as a former journalist, I can tell you now, I know people that will not have me to parties. And I'm a decent person. I haven't killed anybody today. I haven't even picked up a gun today. I haven't said a curse word today. I'm here with you people because we're patriots. Oh, by the way, look for patriot to be a BOGO. Be on the lookout. It was with the IRS when we went through it. We got swept up because of patriots in our name. Not Tea Party, it's not in our name, it's patriots. When the left corrupts the language, corrupts the churches, corrupts the schools, corrupts the media, and as we learned in the AFA conference on Sunday, corrupts entertainment, we don't have a lot left, folks. So plant your flag. But when it comes to the human condition of gender or sexual identity, I absolutely believe you are your plumbing. And you are that little XY or whatever your chromosomes are. Your behavior can be socialized. The rule of thumb in my field in sexual identity and sexual politics and sexual everything is coming up in the field of psychology now. They even have political seminars in psychology and politics. Really? Oh, I would pop popcorn for that one. The fact is that what we must do is put the fear down and pick up the truth. And the truth says, guess what? We live in America. When I speak, you know what I ask people? What is your native country? What is your homeland? And where do you live? If the answer isn't, for me, it would be Ireland, America, America. And I'm adopted. The fact is, we are not just an idea, we are an ethic. America is about small government, free enterprise, and the rule of law. There's derivations on that. When it comes to this kind of topic, where personally we can argue. We can argue from now until next Memorial Day that we know people who are black, white, brown, Jewish, Muslim, gay, straight, or in between. I tell people, if you are human, I can talk to you. If you speak English, I can talk to you. If you speak bigotry, please don't ask me to talk to you. The fact is that this is a time for courage. Do you know in 1776, 1/3 of the people sat out. 1/3 of the people joined with the British. There was 1/3 of the people, the colonists, that won freedom for this country. We want freedom of speech, but we cannot be the ones who fashion it into a weapon. We cannot be the ones who bludgeon people because we've got to convince them. We have to say something on the order of, I want you to be so free, you can't think of living anywhere else. And it's not your freedom ends where mine begins. It's that we share an ethic. People have told me, you're a bigot, you hate immigrants. I said, no, I don't. I'm pro-assimilation. We give nobody time to assimilate. I deal with people, at least a third of my clientele is gender fluid, gay, most of the teenagers come in bi. A third of my clients. And they come in bi because guess what? They are not taught biology. They are, if we can put social in front of, let's talk social history, social biology, social sexuality. It is a corruption. And I cannot say what I just said to anyone sitting on the sofa in my treatment room. Because I have to look into their heart, into their soul, into their mind. You must first, in this year of combat civics, you must realize you are looking at a human being, not the opposition. If you forget you're looking at the human being, then you've already lost the discussion. What we're talking about here today, aside from when we had Islam and Muslims come in to speak at us at another restaurant, this is the most controversial topic of our age.
Wow.
Immigration and this, boys, this is it. Because if we don't know who we are and what we stand on, we got nothing. Without assimilation, this country is gone.
That's right.
Without the rule of law, it's gone. Without constitutional republic, and every time I hear people on Fox say we're democracy, I want to barf. We are a constitutional republic. We are. You know it because you spent time educating and learning. You can't be silent and hope other people get it. Other people will not protect what you know. You're it. I don't care if you're 60, I don't care if you're 40, I don't care if you're 80. The fact is, this is the year where we push to the end of the year and say, you know what? That simple little agreement thing called, I disagree. What do you mean you disagree? How can you possibly disagree? Well, because I was thinking about it. Really? What have you been thinking about? I know you voted for so-and-so and you're a bigot because you're a Republican and a homophobe and all this stuff. And I said, you have no idea. If you know me, tell me my weight. Nobody's going to tell me my weight. And now I got it. Because I've just said to them, I handcuffed you because socially appropriate people will not tell a woman her weight. Use humor. You've got it.